Good evening. My name is Matt Miller. I have the privilege of serving as the Mentor School Superintendent. Thank you for joining us for the 19th induction ceremony of the Mentor High School Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. It's always an honor and joy to be a part of nights like these where we have the opportunity to honor some of Mentor's finest graduates who have continued to represent our community well in the years after high school. This year's 6 inductees span from graduating MHS 15 years ago to 40 years ago. Even though, we'll see if you can tell the difference, even though each of their experiences at Mentor High School must have been quite different as the years went by. And one thing that has always remained the same is the annual Cardinal Notes. And what better way to first introduce you to our inductees tonight than our tradition of flipping through these old yearbooks. There's a collective oh no from the attendees. We start this year in 1975, Cardinal Notes Volume 50. It's printed in black and white, and apparently the seniors decided to organize themselves in backwards alphabetical order in this edition. And they are proud. When you get to page 68, you find this photo of Carol, now Carol Parks. Flip through a few more pages and you'll find her photographed with the Distributive Education Clubs of America, known as DECA, and I imagine she's probably among the 900 seniors that year pictured at their 50s themed dance party before graduation. The next year's volume of Cardinal Notes centered around Lake Erie and the voyage of 1976. Pictured among the first mates, also known as seniors, is Charles Bowman. Charles is also featured in the yearbook with the Pacers cross-country team celebrating a winning season in the Key Club, which was recognized as a high school service club performing many good deeds around the community. It's great to see that Mr. Bowman has kept that strong spirit for community in his years after Mentor High School. The theme of Charles' graduating class was sailing toward brighter horizons, and he certainly has done that well. A few years later, in 1980, Betsy Traba walked the halls of Mentor High School as Betsy Hudson. The theme of this yearbook was Close Up, and we found Betsy's close-up on page 25. This edition of Cardinal Notes shows Betsy was very involved in high school, pictured in numerous activities from National Honor Society to an array of musical groups. I mean, seriously, a lot of musical groups. We found Betsy always smiling in photos for Wynwood Choir, Orchestra, Wind Ensemble, a cappella choir, and more. It looks like Betsy's love for music was well established during her time at Mentor High School, and how wonderful her hard work paid off as her talent turned into a career she still enjoys today. 1981, Mary Blakesmith was proud to call herself a Mentor Cardinal, just as she is today as Mary Bryner. We find Mary's senior portrait in volume 56 of the Cardinal Notes, a yearbook she helped work on, which was themed Reflections of Red and Gray Days. Interestingly, Mary joins the Hall of Fame class of 2015 with her own teachers, another one of our inductees, Ron Rose. Mary had Mr. Rose for homeroom all 3 years of high school. Looking back, you also find Mary was quite involved in the day-to-day activities of Mentor High School through data processing, vocal music, and pep club. And I have to say pep club seems to be fitting, as we all know Mary is to this day one of Mentor School's biggest cheerleaders, always sharing success stories with our community through her role as a current school board member. In 2000, the Cardinal Notes started to look a lot different, and Mike Nemeth is the only one who gets a color photo on the screen tonight. Mike also wins the award for most FaceTime in a yearbook out of the group. We found him on 10 pages, with cross-country team, Buckeye Boys, Future Leaders of America, PALS, Community Service Club, National Honor Society officer, captain of the mock trial, Model UN, and a lot more. He even wrote a piece that was featured in the yearbook titled, Actions Speak Louder Than Words. It's evident he has followed his own advice throughout the years and still leads by that example today. While it was Mr. Nemeth who had the most face time in one book, it's definitely Mr. Ron Rose, who is featured in the most number of Cardinal Notes. Mr. Rose joins the Mentor High School Alumni Hall of Fame as an honorary inductee tonight. Mr. Rose taught business education at Mentor High School for 35 years. He was well known with the student body for bringing bands to school to provide entertainment and for throwing bagel parties to raise money for various causes. He was loved by students and was even the recipient of the Student's Choice Award. Well, that's the first look at the 2015 class of the MHS Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. As the night continues, you will hear more about each individual and the accomplishments that have led to tonight. On behalf of Mentor Schools, the Board of Education, and all of our employees, I'd like to say congratulations to this year's inductees. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Larry Disbrow, who helped put tonight's events in order and who is still continues to be a big supporter of Mentor Schools with the Alumni Association and also the Mentor School Foundation. Larry?
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You need a new binder.
Thanks, Matt. Looking at those yearbooks, I remember sitting in the stands at the Mentor gym when our yearbooks came in. Class of '67, our yearbook was orange. The first thing was, oh my God, they sent the wrong yearbooks. But fortunately, they were the right ones, and I'm very pleased to have been a graduate of Mentor High School in '67. Again, welcome on behalf of the alumni and friends of Mentor High School to the 19th annual Distinguished Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It is my great honor to introduce some of our dignitaries that are here this evening. First, from our Mentor Board of Education, we have Mary L. Bryner, who you'll be hearing from a little bit later. Virginia Drusling, he's in the back. Thanks, Virginia. And Mrs. Sally Miller. Then you can hold your applause until we get through the rest of the names, please. You met Matt Miller, our superintendent. William Porter is here. He's the assistant superintendent of schools, K-8 education. He's back here. Margaret Watson, assistant superintendent of schools, student services. Kathy Burdett, director of human resources. Jennifer Skulski, director of business operations. Also a Mentor High School graduate. Barbara Bonas, Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Kristen Kirby, Director of Community Relations. Susan Chen, Unit 12, Principal at Mentor High School. Jim McMahon, Assistant Principal. Jason Crow, Director of Career Tech. Jeremy Shore, Director of Innovation. And then our officers and Board of Trustees for the Alumni and Friends of Mentor High School. Rick Porter is our President Pro Tempore. Rick is back in the back. Debbie Schultz, Corresponding Secretary and Membership Chair. Peggy Kelly, who's our Recording Secretary. Peggy's right here. And Mary L. Bryner, who's also a trustee. Other trustees include Tina Binney, Bruce Lehman, and then Greg Allen, who is unable to be with us tonight, and Joyce Schutz, who is unable to be here as well, and then a big hello to Irene Carl, who was one of our great organizers and also a Hall of Fame inductee, who is recovering from knee surgery and was unable to attend this evening. Once again, let's see, I think we've got everybody. Okay. What I'd ask at this time is all past inductees, if you would stand and be recognized. I think we have a few that made the trip today. Oh, good, thanks. There they are. Tom Shannon, Nancy, Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to thank the Croatian staff here for a great dinner. I think a round of applause for them. 1975. John Mitchell, H.R. Halderman, and John Ehrlichman are found guilty of the Watergate cover-up. Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Teamster leader Jimmy Hoffa turns up missing in Detroit. Haven't seen him for a while. Ella Grasso is the first female to be elected a governor in the United States, and that was the state of Connecticut. Bill Gates founded Microsoft in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Apollo Soyuz spacecrafts docked in space for the first time. This hurts. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Minnesota Vikings 16-6 in Super Bowl IX. Wheel of Fortune and Saturday Night Live debuted on NBC. Lynette Squeaky Fromm, a disciple of Charles Manson, tries to assassinate President Ford in Sacramento, California. The Thriller in Manila took place with Muhammad Ali defeating Joe Frazier. But most important, in 1975, Carol Cicirella-Parks graduated from Mentor High School. Following graduation, Carol Parks held many customer service positions before returning to school in 1986. She earned an electrolysis and cosmetic therapy degree, and while studying, she discovered tattooing and permanent cosmetics. In 1989, Carol opened Custom Eye Link and Electrolysis in Mentor. What Carol is most proud of is her work with post-surgery patients, assisting plastic surgeons in recreating normalcy for their patients, especially with mastectomy patients tattooing the aorta and nipple areas affected by surgery. Carol has worked with the Lake County Health Department in drafting industry standards of rules and regulations governing tattooing and piercing. She then assisted the Cayman Islands, drafting like legislation for their government. During her 26 years in business, Carol has been named a Fast Track 500 company, a member president of Kirtland Service Council, member of the Areola and Nipple Tattoo Registry. She is also proud to be a State of Ohio Medical Board certified cosmetic therapist. And other memberships, she includes her National Industry Specific Bloodborne Pathogen Educator and Allied Health Association Laser Technician. She has many professional honors, including first place in the expert division for permanent cosmetics and international intradermal cosmetic exposition. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2015 Mentor High School Hall of Fame inductee, Carol Cicirella-Parks.
Thank you, Larry. Well, thank you, Larry, for reminding me of my age from all those activities in 1975. But that's okay. I'm very honored to have this tonight. And we had a lot of fun today with the kids and touring the school, which I hadn't been in for many, many years. And a lot of it was unrecognizable in a very good way, because they've made leaps and bounds in putting in new equipment, new rooms, and taking out some of the old stuff. It was very, very fun. I never thought that I would be here being honored for doing what I love, and it's just great. I don't have a lot of words to say, but it's just a very honored position. I want to thank all my friends and groupies over there. I just don't have too many words, but I want to thank everyone. And Irene's not here, and I know she nominated me for this. Usually it's mayors and CEOs and all these other jobs that are equally as important, but I love what I do, and I have a passion for it, so I guess that's what's brought me here. And that's actually what I told the kids at the school. Just That was the best part of the whole day. Just do what you want to do and do it well, and you'll be rewarded. So thank you.
Carol, come back
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
here. 1976. Jimmy Carter becomes the 39th President of the United States, defeating Gerald Ford in the presidential election. The 12th Winter Olympics took place in Innsbruck, Austria, with America's darling, Dorothy Hamill, skating to gold. Muhammad Ali defended his heavyweight championship twice in 1976. Happy Days and Donnie Marie's show premiered on ABC. Here we go again. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Cowboys in Super Bowl X, 21-17. The Cleveland Cavaliers clinched their first playoff berth. But most importantly, in 1976, Charles V. Bowman graduated from Mentor High School. Following his graduation from Mentor High School, Mr. Bowman received his BA degree in geography in 1980 from Bowling Green State University. In 1988, he earned his master's degree in public administration from Cleveland State. After completion of his undergraduate studies, he returned to Mentor to begin a career working for the city from 1982 to 1987, first as community center director and then as planning technician. In 1987, Charlie became administrative assistant to the village manager in Hudson, Ohio. He spent 6 years as city manager of the city of Geneva, Ohio, and then over the next decade served in the same capacity at Loveland, Ohio, Xenia, Ohio, and Greenville, Ohio. Mr. Bowman was an instructor in Stowe, adjunct instructor in Columbus and Akron, and a consultant in Kent, Ohio. Currently, Charlie runs the Economic Development Data Services in Kent, Ohio. He is a member of the International City County Management Association, Ohio City County Management Association, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society Team Training Cycling and Marathon Program, and a past member of the Geneva Kiwanis and the Xenia Kiwanis clubs, including serving as president in 2000. Mr. Bowman has received the following awards in recognition. In 1993, he Best of County Economic Development Award for the Growth Partnership for Ashtabula County, and a recognition certificate in economic development from the Ohio Department of Development. He received in 1998 the Ohio Department Development Red Carnation Award, President's Level. 2004, he received the Portage County Environmental Roundtable Community Stability Award. In the 2005, the City of Kent Bicentennial Plan, the Comprehensive Plan. He received ICMMA Community Participation Award, and 2006 City of Kent Bicentennial Plan, again the Comprehensive Plan, and OCMA Community Participation Award. Charles participated in the Greene County YMCA Indian Princess Program with his daughters, was an assistant youth soccer team coach, participated in 3 fundraising century bike rides, raising over $18,000, volunteered with the TNT, providing SAG support and gear during training rides in Northeast Ohio. And in August of this past year, he rode his bicycle around the perimeter of Ohio, raising $15,000 for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in memory of family members and in honor of many friends, and dedicated that ride to MHS classmates and members of their families. Charlie participated in planning the class reunions of class of 76, their 10th reunion, their 15th reunion, and their 20th reunion. And in 2010, he started the annual class dinners, serving as fundraiser events for charities in which classmates are involved, including Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, Autism Speaks, Molly's Voice, the National Institute of Mental Health, and the Society of the Prevention of Suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2015 Mentor High School Hall of Fame inductee, Charles V. Bowman.
They said I had 5 minutes. My wife said you better write it down.
I'll tell you, it was a wild day. I haven't been in Mentor High School since 1976. I was just enthralled by the changes, the modern changes. And they got rid of those A-frames in the lunchroom. I mean, what is there to throw food at now? I was disappointed with that part. But you know, I've had a wonderful career, as you recited. It's been amazing. One of the really nice parts about this is the fact that Greg Allen, who was my favorite economics teacher, called me to tell me about this. Unfortunately, he can't be here. He was one of those guys. He was a friend. He was a mentor. He provided guidance. I listened to about half of it. But you know, without him, I don't know which direction I would have gone after high school. He was really instrumental. There's another friend of mine who really changed my life. His name's Rick Stark, and he's sitting here. Rick and I met when we were 15. He's a cancer survivor. He's the guy who got me into the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I've been riding my bike ever since. Rick said it would change my life, and it did. One of the things I'd like to do, because there's like a bunch of folks here who really, when I did that ride, I mean, to me it was just a ride. I was just going for a 2-week bike ride. But the amazing thing that people did on Facebook and posting things and signs and encouragement, posting where I was every day, it did get a little impersonal sometimes. But you know, it was just an incredible amount of support and love. And I'd like all those guys who helped fund the ride, all you guys stand up. Stand up. You, the guys in the back, stand up. Don't make me come over here. You guys stand up. That table, stand up. Thank you. One of the really cool parts is we raised $15,000 for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. The class of 1976, not that we're laying out a challenge, but the class of 76 raised $3,600 of that, $15,000. They got the promotional logo on the front of the jersey. We made sure that 5 children that I was riding for who were fighting leukemia and different types of cancer got those jerseys. This year I'm going to be doing it again from Kent to Cincinnati and back, 500 miles in 4 days. You can see me later if you want to make a donation. I always love asking for those. When you work in government for a while, you don't mind asking people for money. Yeah, I'm almost done. One more thing. I was talking with a couple high school friends of mine who are also Hall of Fame members. And what we've decided we want to do over the next 5 years is solicit all the Hall of Fame members except for this class and the previous class to raise $50,000 over the next 5 years to create a Hall of Fame alumni scholarship fund. The idea is to collect the $50,000 and give away a $2,500 scholarship every year starting in 2016, either at this dinner or at the Senior Awards dinner. So, you know, really what Mentor High School taught me, what Greg Allen taught me, what my parents taught me, what this group of people have taught me is about service. It's about serving others. It's about loving each other enough to go do things. And my friend Monique LaFortune from the class of 77 gave me this cardinal and asked me to wear it tonight. And she sent me a card that said, "The cardinal is a symbol of hope, love, cheer, focus, energy, and renewal." So to all of you I say, I hope the rest of your days are filled as a cardinal with hope, love, cheer, focus, energy, and renewal. Thanks.
$1980. Just keeps getting better. Ted Turner launches the first all-news network, CNN. 6 U.S. Embassy aides escape Iran with the help of the Canadians. John Lennon is shot dead in front of his apartment in New York City. Both the Summer and the Winter Olympics are held. The Summer Olympics are held in Moscow and are boycotted by 32 nations, including the United States, in protest of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. But in the Winter Olympics, held in Lake Placid, do you remember miracles? The U.S. hockey team defeated the Soviets 4-3 on their way to the gold medal. Best Picture of the Year, Kramer versus Kramer. And the Emmy-winning TV shows were Taxi and MASH. The 8-year war between Iran and Iraq begins. This is getting old hat here. Pittsburgh defeats the St. Louis Rams in Super Bowl 14, 31-19. Ronald Reagan is elected 40th President of the United States in November. But most importantly, in 1980, Betsy Hudson-Traba graduated from Mentor High School. Betsy began her musical training at Brentmore Elementary School and played continuously through her graduation from Mentor High School in 1980. Her instrumental music teachers were Gail Stahlheim, Tim Yoel, Muriel Zimmerman, and Richard Hamill. Baldwin Wallace College was her choice for intensive flute and music studies, and she received a Bachelor of Music degree in 1984. She earned her Master's of Music degree from Manhattan School of Music in New York City and has attended various master's classes and seminars since. Private flute studies included several years with Julius Baker, the late flutist of the New York Philharmonic, Jeffrey Kainer, principal flutist of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and William Herbert, piccolist of the Cleveland Orchestra. Like all professionals, musicians, Betsy had numerous solo and other engagements during those years. In 1987, she joined the professional Hofer Symphoniker in Hof, Germany, as principal flutist and spent over 2 years there. She enjoyed not only the fine music, but also the experiencing the European culture and using her German, first learned at Ridge Junior High School with John Gutz. While in Europe, she performed as a concerto soloist multiple times, and upon returning to the United States in 1990, she lived for a while in New York City and kept busy by continuing her flute studies, taking orchestra auditions, and doing office work. In 1993, Betsy went to Sarasota, Florida to audition for a position as the principal flutist of the Sarasota Orchestra. She won the position, and she's been loving it ever since. The orchestra now considered one of the best regional symphony orchestras in the country. As part of her position, Betsy also performs chamber music extensively, both as a member of the Sarasota Wind Quintet and with other local chamber music festivals. In addition to her orchestral and chamber music work, Betsy has performed multiple times as a concerto soloist with the Sarasota Orchestra and the Charlotte, Florida Symphony. In the summer, she performs at the Cabrera Festival of Contemporary Music in Santa Cruz, California, under the direction of Marlon Alsop. She is an active teacher working locally with flutists of all ages and has served multiple terms as leader of the Sarasota Orchestra Musicians Committee, negotiating several collective bargaining agreements on behalf of her colleagues, in which is all volunteer work. Betsy is a former board member of the KAETA, which is an organization in Sarasota that connects children and elders through the arts. Betsy has also served on the Fine Arts Board at her church and volunteers for her children's swim team, which is connected to the local YMCA. Betsy is married to the principal bassoonist of the Sarasota Orchestra, Fernando Traba, a native of Mexico City. He earned his music degrees from Cleveland Institute of Music and now is an American citizen. They have 2 daughters, ages 12 and 14. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2015 Mentor High School Hall of Fame inductee, Betsy Hudson-Traba.
Oh, none of them are here to notice that their names weren't right, so it doesn't really matter. I am so happy and tickled to have been chosen for this. I really cannot tell you. I want to thank the Alumni Association for the incredible amount of work that you guys put into this. I've really been blown away by the day that we've had today. It's really been very special. I want to thank Barbara Curvin and Dr. Mary Texter, who are not here today, but who are the people that took the time to nominate me and do all the paperwork for this award. And of course, I want to thank my family for taking the time and making the effort to be here tonight. Some of them are local, and some of them have driven up from Cincinnati. So when I think about my years at Mentor High, every single memory takes place in the same location, and that's the music department. That was where I spent every free moment I had and where I developed the first of a lifetime of special bonds with other musicians. It was where I found my people and where I learned what a special feeling it is to work together with a group of other people to play music at a really high level. The band program at Mentor High in the late 1970s was simply fantastic. It was the 70s, and there was lots of money available for the arts, and Mentor High was the epicenter of quality public school music instruction in this part of the state. However, a band program will only be as good as the teachers that run it. And in that regard, I was blessed to have been taught by 3 very special educators, 2 of whom are here tonight that I would like to also thank. Gail Stahlheim, Tim Yole, and Merle Zimmerman ran programs at Ridge Junior High and Mentor High that were of incredibly high quality. As a teacher myself who has spent years working with middle and high school age flutists in Florida, I am struck by how the public school music programs there are nothing compared to what I was privileged to have had in Mentor. These 3 music educators set the bar extremely high in terms of what they expected of their students, both as musicians and as people. They insisted on a level of professionalism and self-control that resulted in ensembles that performed far above the norm for high school-aged kids. They pushed us to be better musicians and better people, and they gave me the tools that I needed in order to be able to continue on and succeed in making a career in the incredibly competitive field of orchestral music. And so I wish to publicly thank Mr. Stahlheim, Mr. Yole, and Mr. Zimmerman for taking the time they did with me, for pushing me, and for setting standards of performance and behavior that showed me how good I could be. They gave me the tools that I needed and started me down a road that has led to a lifetime of music making. All of the countless performances I played and students I've taught over the last 28 years were made possible by 3 energetic and dedicated educators working tirelessly in a fantastic school system. I could not have been luckier. Thank you again for this fun day and great honor.
For the next presentation, Mr. Miller, Superintendent of Schools, would like to carry on.
Thank you, Larry. 1981, Ronald Reagan takes the oath of office as the 40th President of the United States. Oakland defeats Philadelphia in Super Bowl 15. For all my Browns fans, the Super Bowl is the game at the end of the year for the 2 best teams. No, sorry. Sorry, Mary. Pac-Man mania sweeps the country. MTV began playing around-the-clock videos, debuting with Video Killed the Radio Star. Ordinary People was the Oscar winner for the Best Picture. The FDA approved the artificial sweetener, NutraSweet. And boxing legend Joe Louis passed away, as did Egyptian President Anwar Sadat. But most importantly, Mary Blakesmith-Bryner graduated from Mentor High School. Following graduation from Mentor High School, Mrs. Bryner continued her education at Lakeland Community College and Cleveland State University while working at Bank One. From 1985 through 1992, she worked for Progressive Insurance and became the commercial inside sales manager. She then took a position with Accordia Insurance Agency, where she was personal lines and commercial lines account manager. From April 2000 to August 2006, Mrs. Bryner served as the sales representative to residential customers for AT&T. In December of 2006, Mrs. Bryner returned to Progressive and is currently a senior sales representative of the personal lines and special lines products holding a PAC license in all 50 states. Mrs. Bryner earned the Pinnacle Sales Club membership for 2013 for the level of sales she made, and also received the Rising Star and Top Performer recognition multiple times for exceeding monthly sales goals. She was a member of the Lake Geauga Insurance Women from 1984 to 1990, serving as president in 1989. She is also active in the Insurance Women of Cleveland organization, where she was named Insurance Woman of the Year in 1990. At Progressive, she has actively helped organize the Adopt a Family annual fundraiser, worked to raise funds for a diabetic alert dog named the Retriever for Ryan program, served on the Lake County United Way Evaluation and Investment Committee from 2013 to the present, and is a member of the Board of Trustees for Lake Tran. Mrs. Bryner is a 2011 Leadership Lake County graduate. She is an active member of Lake County Democratic Club since 2004, serving as Central Committee Chair and President in 2010. While it's clear that Mrs. Bryner has been hugely successful in her professional career, it is her unselfish volunteerism she should also be acknowledged for. Her work with and for Mentor Public Schools is unparalleled. Over the years, she has served as a board member for the Mentor Schools Foundation, board member and officer with the Alumni and Friends of Mentor High School, member of the PTA for 25 plus years, serving 3 times as PTA president at Reynolds Elementary School. At Reynolds, she directed the carnival from 2000 to 2004, raised over $9,000 for the Nick Bartlett Scholarship to be awarded to students who otherwise would not have received the scholarship due to the closing of Reynolds Elementary. She also volunteered at Ridge Middle School PTA, was an officer and delegate to the Lake County PTA, and continues to support PTA endeavors such as teacher appreciation and scholarship. Mary has served as the Cardinal Parents Club, doing fundraising and concessions, is a member of the Scholarship Committee, is a volunteer and member of the Cardinal Cage Club, and has obtained donations of nearly $10,000 in cash and donation for the boys basketball team for the annual reverse raffle. With the great wealth of knowledge and experience that Mary has picked up through her life experiences, she has applied these to take leadership positions on different boards in our community. For the past 20 years, Mary has volunteered with the following programs: Mentor Youth Football, Baseball, and Basketball, Salvation Army of Painesville, United Way of Lake County Humane Society, Birthright of Lake County, Deepwood Foundation, Toys for Tots, Clothe the Child, Mentor Public Library, Suicide Prevention Education Alliance, coordinating the Layups for Life program to spotlight suicide awareness. Mary Bryner was voted a member of the Mentor Exempted Village Schools Board of Education in 2007 and served as president of the school board just last year. Most recently, just a few months ago, she was awarded the Ohio School Boards Association 2014 Award of Achievement for Northeast Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2015 Mentor High School Hall of Fame inductee, Mary Blakesmith-Bryner.
I'd like to thank the Mentor Alumni Association for this recognition. I'm truly honored. Thank you to friends, family, and colleagues for coming tonight. I'm grateful for all of your support. I would like to acknowledge my mother, Lillian Blakesmith, my husband, Jim Bryner, my daughter, Jen Dahlhofer, and my son, Derek Bryner, who are here tonight. I've been working on a family cookbook for the past several months, 4 generations of family favorite recipes going back to my grandmother, who passed away in 1979. This has truly been a labor of love for me. Emailing and sharing Facebook messages with my aunts and cousins and reminiscing with my mom. My goal is to have the project complete and delivered to everyone at our family reunion in June. So when I think about the parts and the assembly of the cookbook, the cover has to be sturdy and withstand the test of time. This reminds me of my roots and my foundation. When I think of my roots and where I came from, I think of my parents. They were raised in hardworking families in the mountains of West Virginia
and then came to Cleveland like many people in the 1950s looking for work and trying to escape the coal mines. Cleveland is where they began to raise their family of 5. I was the 4th born and the only girl. Then in 1969, they moved us out to the suburbs so we could have a better life and education, settling in Mentor-on-the-Lake, where I started 1st grade at Reynolds Elementary, then met Memorial Junior High, then eventually graduated from Mentor High School. The recipes inside my family cookbook are like the stories of my life. You've heard my bio, but that doesn't really give you the who, what, why, and how. People always ask me, how do you do it? You work full time, you're on the school board, you're involved in so many things. As long as I can remember, I've always been like this, wanting to be a doer, not a thinker, wanting to participate in the game, not sit on the sidelines and watch. I have early memories of regularly visiting Mr. and Mrs. Davis, the elderly couple that lived across the street, and started babysitting at the age of 11. I started my first job at Kmart at the age of 16 and started my family at a young age while working full-time and taking college courses, being active in PTA, and so much more. I was a doer, and I still am. I don't think anything will stop me. At least I hope not. It makes me happy and makes me feel fulfilled. The ingredients and the recipes in the cookbook are all the things that influence my life, the people, places, and events. I've been fortunate to know many wonderful people over the years and have visited some great places. I've often said that once I make a friend with someone, they will be a friend for life. I cherish my friendships, and many of them are like family to me. With all the friends I've made over the years, nothing compares to family. You are my number one and will always be the most important thing in the world to me. You have made me who I am, and I thank you for that. Besides my family, nothing gives me greater joy than being a part of the Mentor schools. Being able to give back to the school district that educated me is the greatest gift. Seeing our students engaged and their success in and out of the classroom gives me so much satisfaction. We are so very fortunate to have such an amazing group of administrators, teachers, and staff who do an amazing job every day with so many challenges, and I thank you for that. I look forward to many more chapters of my recipe book of life. This feels like the icing on the cake, and I thank you all for being a part of it. Thank you.
The year 2000. Would your computers work on January 1st? Jeremy Shore wasn't there, and they would have if he'd been there. So. The 100th space shuttle mission was flown. The USS Cole is damaged by 2 suicide bombers in the port of Aden, Yemen. President Bill Clinton announces GPS would no longer be restricted to U.S. military use. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is released, written by J.K. Rowling. And I believe that was, book 4? The St. Louis Rams defeated the Tennessee Titans in Super Bowl 34, 23-16. The 27th Olympics opened in Sydney, Australia. The first crew arrived at the International Space Station. The top TV shows in 2000 to win Emmys, The West Wing and Will and Grace. Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire both hit 50 home runs for the 3rd year in a row. No one ever did that before. Better baseball through chemistry. But most important, in 2000, Mike Nemeth graduated from Mentor High School. After graduating from Mentor High School, Mike Nemeth spent 15 years in the service of his country and community. Mike attended the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York, and was commissioned as an intelligence officer in the U.S. Army. An injury forced Mike to prematurely end his military career, but he continued to find ways to serve. He was the youngest board member in the history of the West Point Society of New York and continues to volunteer for the Ohio Senators Rob Portman and Sherrod Brown in selecting nominees to the nation's military academies. Providing the way for thousands of veterans to tell their stories, he created 6 Word War, a war memoir book project that was featured on the national CBS Evening News for the Veterans Day coverage. Any veteran from Afghanistan or Iraq wars submits their story in just 6 words. And the project then compiles all the stories into one collection described by CBS as a definitive war memoir of the Twitter generation. Professionally, Mike has worked on some of the nation's most advanced technology projects. While in Connecticut, he was a systems engineer for Sikorsky aircraft on the helicopter selected for the next Presidential Marine One helicopter. Since returning to Ohio to complete his MBA at Ohio State University in 2010, Mike has held leadership positions in nanotechnology firms that have received recognition from numerous state and federal agencies, including Ohio Third Frontier and NASA. Currently, he is a senior vice president responsible for North American sales and marketing for OCSAI, the world's largest nanomaterials manufacturer. Personally, Mike pursues other creative writing projects and currently has 7 nationally published books, including a variety of children's books. His writing has been featured in The Atlantic, Huffington Post, Army Times, and on BuzzFeed. Mike and his wife, Jill, live in Powell, Ohio, just north of Columbus, with their 2 children, Charlotte and Claire. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2015 Mentor High School Hall of Fame inductee, Mike Nemeth.
Thanks so much. I had a really great time today with everybody from the school and the fellow inductees. I just want to take a second and really thank 2 special people in my life. My wonderful mother, Lisa, my amazing wife, Jill. It was fun to think about my days in high school, and we were talking about all the different things I did and stayed busy. And I had to leave early to school to go to all these things, and my mom was talking about waking up early and getting breakfast with me, and I realized she was going out of her way to wake up and have breakfast with me each morning, and it's something now as a parent that I really appreciate even more. So, opportunities like this, I think, are a great way to take an extra special way to say thank you to someone who doesn't get thanked enough. So, thanks, Mom. And my wife is also here, and all of these crazy things that I do in my free time, whether it's books or children's stories, it's usually done at home, outside of work hours. And it's because I have a very patient and loving wife who puts up with all my adventures. She's always been there for me. She met me while I was in the military, followed me around to New York, and she was the one who convinced me to come back to Ohio, and I'm forever grateful for that. She watches our 2 young daughters, and I don't also say thank you enough to her. So thank you to her, and thank you to all the spouses and parents who are here tonight. Your support really helps all of us kind of accomplish what we want to do in life. So thanks. I had a great time today. I think Charlie had a good time with the fact that I was from the class of 2000. But to put things in perspective, there are 2 names that keep coming up, and those 2 names are also the 2 educators that I wanted to recognize tonight. Tim Yole was my sort of band instructor and leader when I was in Memorial Junior High School. Helped me find my way. I transferred from a Catholic school, and so I didn't know anybody. And without Tim Yole and music, I don't know how many friends I would have missed out on.
So I'm forever grateful for him, and all of the morning and after-school activities were in Greg Allen's room, as anyone can imagine. So it's funny that Charlie and I had lunch today and talked about all the things, and here it was with the same person that had such a great impact on our lives. So to that note, I wanted to thank the staff and faculty and all the support people at Mentor High School. It was a really amazing thing today to see the military commissioning signing ceremony. For those of you who didn't know, there was a special event this morning, and it's the only school in the state, and I work with the Senator's offices on military programs. It's the only school in the state that does something special like this, and other schools go out of their way to recognize athletic accomplishments, and I think Mentor does a great job of recognizing all the accomplishments of its students. You had representatives from the police department, the fire department, local veterans coming to the school today, and I sat there and I thought, this is the kind of school I want my kids to go to. And so I'm really excited to have this opportunity to come back up here. I look forward to staying involved with the school and seeing all the other great alumni to come. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the criteria for selection to the Hall of Fame begins with the individual being a graduate of Mentor High School. So for a person or an individual to be selected as an honorary inductee, that individual has to be very special. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Rose taught business education at Mentor High School for 35 years, specializing in business law. In the fall of 1970, Ron came to Mentor High School with a BBA majoring in accounting. In 1975, he received an MED, Educational Administration degree. In 1985, he received an Excellent Education Teaching Award from the Mentor Board of Education. Although honored by this award given to him in the middle of his teaching career, it created a midlife crisis for Ron Rose, and it motivated him for the rest of his career. So from 1986 to 1991, Ron attended Cleveland Marshall College of Law at night, receiving his Juris Doctorate degree. And Mr. Rose received the Liberty Bell Award from the Lake County Bar Association in 1991, and the Student Choice Award from the students at Mentor High School. Mr. Rose was appointed first by Judge Richard Swain and later by Judge John Trivitz of the Mentor Municipal Court as an acting judge from 2001 to 2014. Ron took students to Washington, D.C. on field trips and everywhere else in Christendom, conducted bagel sales, brought concerts to MHS, took law students to the Bar Association breakfast, and created a business law club at Mentor High School, whose fundraising allowed the law students an introduction to Broadway shows in Toronto, such as The Phantom of the Opera, Miss Saigon, and The Lion King. The Business Law Club had fundraising benefits for the Mended Hearts, and with Ron Rose convincing the Cleveland Indians to send their top prospects for the fundraiser. He also invited all of us administrators to come over, and I brought a baseball, and I got these two signatures on this baseball from a Jake Westbrook and a C.C. Sabathia. With Mentor being one of the largest high schools in Ohio, offering more law sections to students, there are many lawyers in Ohio and around the country that started their legal education right here in business law class with Ron Rose at Mentor High School. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome only the second honorary inductee to the Mentor High School Distinguished Hall of Fame, Mr. Ron Rose.
Well, I'd like to thank the Mentor High Alumni Association for this award. I am humbled by it because, as Betsy said, she concentrated on 3 teachers. I have 3.5 decades with teachers, and they've touched kids' lives, and by being humbled at this award, it's because it was really intended for alumni, but I'll accept it. It's tough in 5 minutes to go over 3.5 decades of teaching, but it wasn't a job, it was an adventure. And that's one thing. Always find something that you really enjoy doing every day. And in looking back over the decades and how I changed, in the 70s when I first arrived, I had a teacher. He wasn't a teaching associate. His name was Willis Red Massey, and he wasn't really well known. He was an older teacher. This was going to be his last working experience. And he had the roughest kids, the kids that had no family life, no home. And he would be the one that would get called from them when they were in jail to bail them out. And he did it. But as you look back through time, you see that Willis Massey was, besides being a neighboring teacher across the hall from me, was one of my guardian angels. You don't have to have wings. But what he did for me was, in his background, I didn't know this until after his funeral, that when he was 15 years old, he always believed you only get one shot in life, and if you commit to it, you take it, and you go all the way for it. And he decided he wanted to go by canoe down the Mississippi River from his home in West Virginia to New Orleans. And he convinced a buddy to go, but about 1/3 of the way through, the buddy said, "I'm not doing this. You're on your own." And he had to make a choice. Okay, do I go for my goal of going down the Mississippi and going to New Orleans, by myself, or do I go home? And he went, and he made it. And so this gives you the background of this teacher who, he saw me outside my room. He said, "Boy, you look so down. What's the problem?" I said, "Well, I just did some research. I found a case that I would really love for my kids to see, like make a movie, but I can't afford a movie. I'm a starting teacher. I can't take anything from the budget." And he said, "Well, why does it have to be a movie? Why can't you make a film strip? All you need is a camera and a tape recorder." And I said, "I don't know, even that, So he sees I'm pondering, and he takes out of his pocket a $100 bill, and he gives it to me. And he says, "I don't expect this back, but go do your dream." And that was a big influence on me because we did it. It ended up costing us $1,000, but I gave Willis Willis got back 10 times as much. He got back about $1,500 on it, and it was very nice. It even won in one of the magazines one of the best film strips of the year. So he was one of my guardian angels. Another guardian angel was a guy by the name of Ron Green, who was the bailiff of the Menor Court. Ron Green formerly was a supervisor at Ohio Rubber, and he had a heart condition, so he needed an easier job. So his job was bailiff of the Menor Court, which we had good relationships with, the law program at Menor. And, it would be an easy job for him, okay? Until, they had traffic court in Menor, and at that time, many of you remember that the court was on the second floor, and then they had it wasn't a railing, but, it's supposed to keep you on the second floor. Well, one person, and this is only traffic court, one person took his, he got fined, he's walking out, and he was going to kill himself. He was going over the balcony, and he almost made it, except the only person near him was Ron Green. And he dove at him and got him back off the railing. And you would think, wow, the judge was so proud of Ron Green. He hollered at him. He says, "The next time you let him go over." Okay. Okay, but Ron Green comes back in the thing. Anyway, it was mentioned that I did win an Excellence in Education Award in 1985, and it did cause a midlife crisis. And I was lucky I had one of my friends, his name is Bill O'Neill, who's now a Supreme Court Justice in Ohio. He says, "Why aren't you in law school?" I said, "I got the lowest score in an LSAT test. I know I'm good at teaching it." He said, "No, try. There's a program at Cleveland State, Legal Career Opportunities Program, and it's designed for people that have been successful in other careers, but that they should be given a shot at law school." I was given my shot. It took me 5 years, but it was worth it. I wanted to quit, and who stopped me? The kids. my kids in my classrooms. Because here I'm preaching to them to do their best, and I couldn't stop. And to my surprise, I passed. So that was that. It does change your life, and this brings up another thing that happened in 1985. The state of Ohio, they developed the Ohio Mock Trial Program. This is a program where judges, legal scholars, and attorneys in Columbus make up a case based on real cases. And they develop the case so that a high school in Ohio will be given both sides of the case. And in the morning they debate the plaintiff's side, and in the afternoon they debate the defendant's side. And that's the competition. You go before a judging panel. Well, Mentor first got in '86, and about 2 years later we went to the Cleveland district, and we killed the other team, but we lost. We lost, and the judges were Cleveland administrators, which is nice, but they weren't attorneys. They hadn't even read the case. And one of the judges, this to me was the ultimate nerve, came in 20 minutes after we started and sat down in the judges' bench with them as if nothing was wrong. So Ron Green was with me as we were going home by the school bus, and the kids naturally were teary-eyed and crying because it's like, you told us to do our best and we lost. And Ron Green, away from us, came up to me and says, we're not going to let this happen again. We are going to the judge when we get back, and we're going to ask him to petition to have a Lake County mock trial competition. And we're going to make sure that those judges are real judges, real attorneys, and that they at least read the case before they have to judge it. And I'm happy to announce that the Lake County mock trial competition is still here, and I have a wonderful teacher here, Carol Hoover, who took over. And when I retired, it was easier to retire with Carol there. And again, I was surprised that this idea of doing the best you can do. And we have students, all students, whether they're A students or F students or D students, they don't give their best. They have to prove to themselves that they can do it. What the mock trial did for my law classes and further on is said to them, here's a project. Don't just make an effort. You have to prove to yourself that you're doing the very best you can. Give it your best shot, nothing else. And what happens is there's a change in them. There was a change in me in which they can do it. And I have another student here. Well, he's not a student anymore, Ron Gaynor, in the back there. Ron was with me when the only year I coached the team, we came in second in the state. And one of the highlights of the case was the other team made up things that weren't in the case. And here he is in front of these judges, and when they were making all these stories up, Ron just says, you can't do that. He's totally, and he lost it, okay? He was right. They were cheating, but he shouldn't have said it like that, But he gained from that, because when we left, he was telling me, I'm going back to that courtroom. And sure enough, he became an attorney. And this to his dad sitting next to him, Ken Gaynor. He's an engineer at, it's a big company. And Ron was going to be an engineer until he took my course, and then he becomes an attorney, and his first year out, he's tending bar and downtown. He couldn't get a job. And you can imagine as a teacher how that felt, that you convinced him, or he became a lawyer. Now he's doing quite well and doing a great job. And okay, so let's see where I'm at now. I'm getting there. Okay, I said it changed me. When I got through with law school, I felt we can do whatever we want to do. I made a law club. We raised funds from a dinner club card. It brought in the funds that we could go to the Supreme Court of the United States. and we met Justice Souter, and we did that twice. Another thing, the Supreme Court has a Supreme Court bar, which means if you're going to be in front of us, you better be a member of the bar. And the first trip we went down, I was sworn in as a member of the Supreme Court bar in front of my students. And then the next year, one of my former students, who was an attorney in the Commerce Department, I sponsored her before the Supreme Court. And I remember it well because I was in front of Justice Rehnquist, and I felt, I'll never have an experience like this again. So I was, in nominating her, it was the slowest speech I ever gave. Until, Justice Rehnquist said, Mr. Rose, could you speed it up? But then the other thing that it gave us, we originally went to Toronto for studying the Canadian legal system, but that was boring. So we ended up going to Phantom of the Opera and every major show they saw, Miss Saigon. Finally, we were able to convince the Indians to bring their top prospects here, and we also, for Mended Hearts, which is a great organization. And that's about it, other than we had some great guest speakers, Joe Hyatt and Avery Freeman, noted civil rights attorney. And I'd like to end this with what Joe Hyatt said to my students, and I think they took notice of it. He said, if you never try anything new, different, unique, or unattainable, you'll never get hurt, you'll never suffer, and you'll never fail, which is a true statement when you think of it. But then there was a big but after that. But you will never grow as a person, nor improve your life. And it meant a lot to the kids. So again, I want to thank you. I'm humbled by this because a couple years ago I was pushing for my daughters and my family who have supported me to become a candidate. But I accepted only because you have teachers like Gail Steinheim. And I'm so proud of my life that I was able to be here. I know when Irene Curl, one of the real hardest working members of this Alumni Association, she couldn't get me because she didn't know I was in Florida for about 6 days. So she thought I passed away. So it's been a pleasure to be here and to see my kids. Thank you.
In closing, a first announcement. Before you leave, would you please purchase some of our alumni gear? It goes for the benefit of our scholarship fund. And it also looks pretty good. So anyway, Michelangelo was not a graduate of Mentor High School. Was an artist who lived from 1475 to 1564. And I think most people know his most famous work with the sculpture of David and the Sistine Chapel ceiling, which took him 4 years to complete. He was called a genius by his peers and by scholars throughout history. Genius. And you know what Michelangelo said about his genius? I'm paraphrasing. If you knew how hard it was to work and to give it your best shot, again paraphrasing, you wouldn't call it genius. You just call it persistent. Our inductees are geniuses because of the hard work that they've demonstrated, and you folks make excellent role models for our current students at Mentor High School. I was about to say, could I have a round of applause again for our inductees, but thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for attending our 19th annual Mentor High School Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Ellie Kelly, Mentor High School, class of 2009, to lead us in the alma mater. It's in your booklet at the end, in case you're free.
Thank you. My name's Ellie Kelly. I am the daughter of the beautiful Margaret Kelly, who was inducted a couple years ago. And if everyone who went to Mentor High would please stand and join me in the alma mater. And not knowing the words is not an acceptable excuse. It is in the back of your program, okay? Thank you. Unless you're my mother, who is banned from singing in public. Keep the banners waving o'er us, floating towards the sky. We've a team that's fighting for us. Cheer for Mentor High. Alma mater, alma mater, when from thee we part, we shall keep thy memories ever woven in our hearts.
Nicely done. Thank you so much. Please drive carefully. Go Cards.